So Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tasos is a new action RPG with roguelike elements, combining combat, top-down exploration and procedural dungeons. There's also elements of town building here where you can build out your village or just relax and fish for a while. And if you're a fan of something like A Link to the Past, then this one is going to be right up your street. So the game is set in Tasos, which was destroyed by the war against Titans hundreds of years ago, and the people of Tasos managed to lock away the Titans in 4 dungeons across the land, and Tasos slowly grew back to its former glory. As the years have gone by and the strength of the magic started to weaken, the Titans have started to grow strong once again, and they've unleashed a whole load of beasts across Tasos, leading to the people fleeing. Soon, the Titans are going to be free on Tasos once again, and it's your job to stop them. It's all fairly standard fantasy hero fare, to be honest, but the scene setting through the mock stained glass windows and the story at the beginning of the game really got me into the mood for some adventuring. Rogue Heroes is a neat pixel art adventure, and on first inspection it does look very similar to classic Legend of Zelda games. However, the roguelike elements do mix things up a little bit. For example, in the first dungeon I was surprised to get the grappling hook, bombs and arrows all at the same time. I have to say I was pleasantly surprised, as it gave me all the necessary tools I needed to beat the first boss. There's a variety of environments in the game, from classic green farmland, swamps and snowy mountains. The enemies are varied and offer a nice challenge, and because it's a roguelike you're going to need to watch your energy meter and be wary of dying, as you're going to lose all your gems that you've built up. As you progress through runs of the game, there are some items that persist, and Rogue Heroes does a pretty good job of rewarding players when they do die, so offering permanent upgrades that help you out each time. And as each run goes by you build up your town, allowing you to increase stats like health, stamina, powers and also your attack perks via your sword as well. As you accumulate and spend your upgrade points across your character, you do progressively get stronger, and this eases the player in who may not be used to this style of gameplay. But it does have a disadvantage later on in the game, as things do get quite easy, whereas ideally the game should be getting progressively harder as you progress. On the face of things, Rogue Heroes looks like another classic top-down pixel art action RPG. However, the town building element of the game is really good fun, and it's a nice distraction from the action when you want to take a break. There's plenty of NPCs in the game, including dogs, which you can pet. So if you just want to wander around and enjoy a Stardew Valley type experience for a few hours between dungeons, if you want to chill out and just fish for a little bit, then that's available too. This element reminded me a lot of a short hike. It was pleasant, and it was a gentle break from the sometimes frantic action that the game throws your way in the form of the dungeons. So the game can be played with up to 4 players in co-op mode, and 4 players in total can get a little bit too busy, but having one other person there to help out is pretty good. So it's a great game to chill out on the sofa with your significant other after a hard day's work and you're looking to wind down. The pixel art Zelda-inspired world will instantly relax you, and solving the relatively straightforward puzzles together is a really good time. The overall design of Rogue Heroes will definitely give you Zelda vibes. Everything from the items, the character and the overworld shouts Nintendo, but really that's not such a bad thing. Games have been here before and they've tried and failed, but Rogue Heroes does a good job of emulation, and there's enough differences in here to make it feel unique with the roguelike elements. I just wish it didn't have Rogue in the name, it could stand up on its own 2 feet with a better label. The world of Tasos is very well put together, like a big mass of tiles waiting to be discovered. We start out in our little town, and very early on we're directed to the first dungeon and given a few side quests to take on. The design of Tasos is nice, and you clearly get directed where you want to go, but you're given enough room to explore as to not feel too directed, so Heliocentric Studios have done a really good job with that design. The structure of Rogue Heroes is nice too, and rather than direct you from one dungeon to the next big endless battle sequence, you've got time to explore and find the swathe of secrets on offer around Tasos. There's swamps, villages, forests, many of the locations you'd expect in this type of game, and the designers have packed the game full of secrets and side quests. You can also pick and choose to do the main dungeon or the side quest and get to know the array of NPCs back in your little hometown base. Intori Village is where you wake up in classic hero style, and very early on you start to build up the tools that you need to help out with building the village. When you first wake up there's a man called Griff, and he's out there wanting 80 coins, and he directs you up to the northeast to collect them. There was a slight little quirk here for me when I went back to the village with the 80 coins and he didn't recognise the fact that I had them. I've been cutting down bushes, attacking buffalo, all for about 15 to 30 minutes. Now I had to go through my first iteration of the dungeon and die for the first time to get the response that I was looking for from Griff. I didn't come across too many bugs during my playthrough, but this one did seem a little bit strange. So back to Intori Village, where you can build up the town to include a blacksmith, shops and a farm where you can plant and grow some food. It's a game within the game itself and very reminiscent of something like Animal Crossing or Spiritfarer. Intori Village works really well into the gameplay loop, as Griff will help you build up tools and skills in exchange for gems and items that you find out there in the dungeons. There's plenty of items to find, like the hookshot, boomerang and bombs and bows and magic wands, all really the standard hero toolkit. And each item has its own upgrade path and can feel a little bit overwhelming at the beginning, but in an effort to be different or have a unique selling point, the game can sometimes veer into the complex. As well as the various items in the upgrade paths, you also have classes in the game. So at first, these are locked off to you, but they do become available later on. And there's classes like Ranger, Knight, Mage, Pirate, Witch and Reaper. And the classes, they're not really too different, but it's a nice mix and match and does switch things up a little bit if you get bored of your initial class. So I really like having classes in this type of game. Normally in an action RPG like this, you're the hero and you're one particular style, but I like the fact that you can select different classes even if the effect on gameplay isn't huge, and I really would like to see more mainstream titles take on this approach. One of the biggest features of the games is the dungeons and the titans. So the dungeons themselves offer a good challenge. Die and you'll be back at the start having to do it all over again. The dungeons are procedurally generated, so every time you go in, it's going to be a different experience. And puzzles, they're really good, which include moving blocks and finding keys to open locked doors, as well as hidden surprises like arrows being shot from holes in the wall and a laser beam coming from evil eyes. The puzzles and the enemies aren't too obtuse, but they're not a walk in the park either. The team has struck a really good balance here with the difficulty, and I find myself jumping back in often to play the dungeons over. There's definitely a lot to like here with Rogue Heroes, but it's not all positives. The main story and the cast of characters do lack personality, and they didn't really grab my attention. So it may be unfair to compare two characters that have been in my life for the past 30 years and are competing against my nostalgia too, but the story just didn't really grab me. But there are a lot of positives in the game, and I don't want to be too negative on it, but I do feel the game could have been much stronger with a better story, delivery, and also, going back to it again, a better name for the game itself. Rogue has appeared in so many game titles, and you just don't really need to point this out. By playing the game, we're going to know it's a roguelike. Having a more Tolkien or a George R.R. Martin-esque name, like Lord of the Rings or the Song of Ice and Fire, something just a little bit grander. Even the Ruins of Tasos would have been better than Rogue Heroes. But saying that, Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tasos is a very good Zelda-inspired action RPG and brings things into the modern era with the roguelike elements. The dungeons are fun and there's plenty of secrets to find, and it's a great time playing with friends or family as couch co-op or online. It can be overwhelming at times through the skill trees and the side elements to the game, but you can always kick back and go fishing if things get a little bit too much. So if you're a fan of top-down RPGs, then I'd definitely give this one a go. So the game was developed by Heliocentric Studios and published by Team 17. It's available for Nintendo Switch and PC, and it was originally released on the 23rd of February 2021. Well, that is it for my review of Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tasos, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below, subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again, I'll see you in the next video.